Alrighty. Currently just waiting on everybody to ready up. Once they get the readies, we will be good to go. We will be getting this action started. On the co-cast with me, I got RJ Diddles 92, the man, the myth, the legend himself, and then with us again, that is continuing from last night. Great to have him with us. Gitwood is going to be joining us as well. How you boys
Hi.
doing? Are you guys looking forward to today's action, being able to see the PS4 community? What are you guys looking forward to?
Well, I mean, we're much more familiar with the PS4 community than with the PC community. We've seen a lot of these people before. Canadian Hookers being one of those people, one of those teams. I expect to see some great competition tonight, and just for these people to prove that the PS4 Dead by Daylight community is not to be trifled with. They're just as good as anybody else.
Absolutely. I'm very excited to be here. Thank you so much for having me back. Hello to everyone in the chat. And it's really interesting for me because I haven't been able to see the competitive scene on PS4 as much. So I'm very curious to see how everybody participates tonight and all that stuff. I think it's going to be very interesting to see which killers are picked, considering the nurse is incredibly difficult to play on console, with those precise blinks, having to nail that. So I'm very curious to see what kind of strategies we get today, and I'm so excited to be here. So thank you so much for having me back.
Yeah, absolutely. And you nailed it right there. You don't really see anywhere near as much nurse on the PS4 as you do on PC because it's just a little bit more difficult to be as precise on a keyboard, or I'm sorry, on a controller than it is to be on a keyboard and mouse. So yeah, let's see what we get. And right off the bat, coming in hot with the Billy bit.
And immediately doing that chainsaw dash across the map, looking to see if he can't scout out. Doing a great job of leading in and out. It lands straight into a Claudette.
Just from deep, dude.
This from
downtown.
Absolutely deep downtown indeed. Then Dragon will be running straight into Jigsaw for the first hook of the match. I mean, coming 30 seconds into it.
27 actually.
27 seconds into it. Den Dragon setting the tone early on here for the Canadian Hookers.
It's always good to see a competent Billy moving around the map. You know, obviously one of the most balanced killers, as the community believe. The idea of being able to chainsaw sprint around is really good, and I tell you what, it is so satisfying to hit that connection on a deep shot like that. So
absolutely.
we've got more pressure being applied here as well, having to drop the pallet early. You know, the pressure is off the Canadian Hookers here with an early hooking. You know, being able to live up to their name and get things going early. So we're going to have to make sure that there is generator pressure applied. As you can see there, they are working away tirelessly on that, managing to get the save as well. That was very, very quick. It was nice to see that whilst they were in a chase, they were able to communicate, hey, we've got time to make this unhook, and it is going to buy them time.
And how do you guys feel about the fact that the Den Dragon is actually, every time he sees a pallet drop, he's just immediately getting rid of it?
Yeah, what, the early pallet?
Yeah, taking out pallets that he doesn't want to have to worry about the pallet loop potential later on.
Yeah, I mean,
as soon as they drop them,
that's the mantra.
Get it off the map.
It is the mantra of DBD, you know, eat the pallets. It's absolutely what you want to do, because if you can do that in the early game, you don't have to worry about them in the late game. You're saving yourself so much hassle. So the idea of being able to turn around and go, hey, this is what's happening now. Feed me all the wood you want. I will absolutely deal with it later. Let's not think about that phrase being clipped.
Jigsaw gonna be going straight into struggle mode. Second hook for him. Seeing a potential rescue attempt coming out. Then Dragon looking to potentially go back. Keep an eye on that hook. Gonna be popping the gem there, revealing some information.
And that's twice we've tried to see them move through that pallet with that chainsaw, and it's just not been happening for them. They've been connecting on the pallet. Yeah, exactly. I commend them for trying. You know, it's applying pressure, and secondly, it means that the Billy is technically back there and he's blocking that pallet off. So it's actually quite a smart move to be able to go, hey, if you're making this hook save, you're not getting out of here. So great work.
Yep. Jigsaw is going to be going. Anthony will be taking him off the Valhalla for him. Canadian Hookers 1 point on the board. Jigsaw is going to be partying in the afterlife, battles and big glorious parties await him in Valhalla.
And you can see Cutie Panda attempting to use that hill to their advantage. That was something that was nerfed about 3 or 4 months ago. They reduced how much lag Killer has when he drops off of a cliff.
Well, the idea of hills in general when you're playing perkless is a dangerous notion if you're a survivor, especially if you're in a chase, because the landing that you get of you having to try and balance yourself, of you hitting the ground, you get staggered, and at that point it makes it so difficult for you to get away because you're giving up so much distance. Whereas the killer can just slide down that hill and Dragon connect it. So it was great work, and obviously he's managed to get one to the basement too. So that was a crucial move right there.
We have seen a lot of basement play, especially last night, and obviously here in the first round.
I think that's incredibly interesting. You know, the idea of, I'm sure that people who were playing in the tournament today were watching last night, listening out for things that I was saying about, you know, that top generator being crucial, and how big the basement can be in terms of forcing pressure. You know, you're giving yourself the best opportunity to force pressure upon the other team. So it's great to see that stuff, and hopefully it continues.
Using the chainsaw sprint right there to get back towards the basement, keeping an eye on that hook, looking to solidify the second point for the Canadian Hookers. DBD continuing patrolling the generators, looking to stall out the progress here. 3 off the board, 2 remain currently. Lotham about 50% done with 1 generator. Short and Sassy about 75% on another. The last 2 generators currently being worked on. DBD looking to smell them out, get them off those journeys, slow down the progress. Using that chainsaw traversal once again. Absolutely fabulous to get across from one point of the map to the other.
Absolutely, and you could see once again that as soon as someone was hooked in the basement, they were doing a far generator. So if people are watching, killers are watching, you know that survivors are going to be working those far gens away from the hook. Go for them. You know, like it's another strategy. It depends on how you want to play, if you want to be that aggressive. But ultimately here it's very interesting to see the idea of 2 generators being worked. If they can get to completion at the same time, then you are in great shape here.
And I mean, obviously you're gonna have to sacrifice another point for it, but it could be the difference between getting 2 people out and not getting anybody out.
Yeah,
absolutely. Sending Cutie Panda. Entity shall have her. It's going to be 2 points on the board for Canadian Hookers. 2 survivors left for Sassy's shenanigans, with the potential of tying it up if they both can get out the door, evening the score 2-2 going into round 2. See if they can get out with both their lives right here.
She sells seashells by the seashore.
Exactly.
Here's a big problem right now, though. We talked about that stagger just a minute ago, going up in the house. Probably not the smartest move, and there's the RKO from the top rope. You can't be doing that. That's the thing. The house play there was not as smart a move as you could have picked without perks. It's just one of those unfortunate things. That's why Cold Tower is such an interesting map. You know, but the idea now of them taking the 1 point away rather than the 2 that they probably could have had if they'd have thought about being just a little bit more sneaky coming off that gen top. It's really unfortunate, but very well played by DBD there.
And he tried to go for the Kobe. I don't blame him. Didn't get it. That's pretty standard fare. We actually saw some really great hook escapes last night. I think we had 2 in the same match, if I'm not mistaken.
You certainly did.
Absolutely. The 2-4% chances happening in one match absolutely did occur.
The only issue with it being that if they are jumping off when there is no other hope, then the killer's just going to stay around. Like, it's whether or not somebody takes the risk a different opportune moment in the game and says, hey, I'm going to try and jump now because I know the killer is far away, and see if they can capitalize off that. That would be the boldest play.
Well, we will see if Sassy Shenanigans can even the score in round 2. If they can come out with a 3-1 score as well, we will go into an overtime scenario. If they can get all 4 points, they will be moving on in the bracket. Canadian Hookers Going in 3-1, a little bit of an easier situation. Only need 2 points to advance, 1 for the tie to push overtime scenario. So Sessions, a little bit uphill battle going into round 2. I'm gonna get this lobby set up. We're gonna get all these teams switched up, get the killer for shenanigans in here, get the surviving squad of Canadian hookers. Once we all are good to go, we will get this show on the road.
Ain't no party like a house party, cause a house party don't stop. Ain't no party like a house party, cause a house party don't stop. Ain't no party like a house party, cause a house party don't stop.
Ain't no party like a house party, cause a house party don't stop. Ain't no party like a house party, cause a house party don't stop. Ain't no party like a house party, cause a house party don't stop. Ain't no party like a house party, cause a house party don't stop. Don't stop, 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 don't stop. Ain't no party like a house party, cause a house party don't stop. Ain't no party like a house party, cause a house party don't stop. Ain't no party like a house party, cause a house party don't stop. Ain't no party like a house party, cause a house party don't stop. Ain't no party like a house party, cause a house party don't stop. Ain't no party like a house party, cause a house party don't stop. Ain't no party like a house party, cause a house party don't stop. Don't stop, don't stop, don't stop, don't stop, don't stop,
Walking in with good intentions, walking down with no patience. I feel my buttons being pressed on. I feel my body trying to start something. I know I'm young, but I'm
Welcome back. That first round was a doozy. Very quick though.
Indeed, it was.
Absolutely. It's awesome to see the hillbilly back in action, you know, tearing things up. That downtown chainsaw to begin the tournament. You can't ask for a better way to start, in my opinion.
Those are great, man.
It's as if the Claudette was like, I got it, and just absolutely caught it with the chest, took it right in stride.
You know,
but
I've
hey,
been on the receiving end of those, and I've also been the one hitting them. And like I said, it's either satisfying or the worst feeling in the world.
Oh,
so.
the Huntress. All right.
Ooh.
All right. We're
There
mixing
we
it up
go.
here. The PS4
Beautiful.
community, they can play any killer. They're that good.
Well, and we have seen, we've done a lot of these in the past, and when we do the PC tourneys, we do see a large meta of majority of nurse killer mains. On the PS4, we'll see the Hillbilly, Nurse. We see a lot of Pig, actually, Myers. Actually, it's a different good mix-up of killers we will see during today's action. So actually, it's kind of cool to see the different metas from both scenes, different I guess how they would play.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I really like the idea. Oh, it's okay. I really like the idea of people being really good at something that some people would consider to be quote unquote low tier. You know what I mean? I think that's just because you don't see a lot of the Hag. You know, I mean, you don't see a lot of Michael Myers. You don't see a lot of Freddy, and it's great. Go ahead.
It's one of those things. It's an interesting point, absolutely, and of course, you know, everybody's going to have their opinions on where different killers rank within a tiering system as such, but we still a lot of the time go back to how many kills they're averaging, you know. So it's one of those things that is adjusted in terms of the balance. A lot of people tend to forget that the balance of the game should be 2 survivors escape and 2 survivors die. You know, like that's the real balance. A lot of people look at it and go, hey, well, the killer didn't 4K, so it's clearly not balanced. It's one of those interesting scenarios. The thing that I was going to bring up was, you know, the Huntress moves at 4.4 meters per second, you know, so she is actually slightly slower. She's 0.2 meters per second slower than other walking killers, and that's because she has the distance of her power. You know, her hatchets are travel distance very, very quickly, and if you can connect on these hatchets, then they are going to be in a great shape here. So this is a lot of fun to watch.
Looking to connect on another hatchet right here. Currently has a victim in his sights. We can figure out who's currently under chase. I believe it is Voorhees. Looking to evade the sights of the Huntress.
What an ironic name. What an ironic name. Voorhees. The only killer that has a different game.
Thou who shall not be named.
Yeah,
trying
basically,
to
yeah.
trying to escape.
Voldemort.
Gonna be dropping the pallet a little bit early though. Not getting the stun off on Jigsaw.
That's okay though, because again, forcing pressure. What Jigsaw really needs to do there is break that pallet. Like that is crucial at this point. Like it's when you have long walls and stuff. I understand why some of the pallets are being left, because it makes sense to create these long corridors that then the Huntress can connect with her hatchets. However, the problem is that you can spend a lot of time chasing, and like I said, she's slower than walking speed killers. So you can't fall into the trap of, hey, I can't break I'm not going to break this pallet because I think I can get that hatchet throw, because if it doesn't connect, you're wasting a lot of time.
It's a huge risk, exactly. You know, you have to decide whether or not you want to break that pallet, or if you want to try for the long shot and, you know, basically just be a genius, the galaxy brain. And, you know, sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't.
Absolutely.
Jenny pressure though early on, not bad. 3 Jennies off the board. The Den Dragon 50% on another. See if they have that last generator working on. Currently only have that one of the 2 remaining Jennies currently being worked on. Venomous potentially going and looking for a spot, an opportunity to go in for the rescue attempt here.
And, you know, one thing that this Huntress is doing really well is managing how many hatchets she has. You know, when I originally played the Huntress, it was very weird for me to have to basically check a random locker in order to get hatchets back, because nobody else has to do that. It's another resource management that a lot of people don't consider whenever they really begin to start playing the Huntress.
Absolutely. You know, like you just said, resource management is important. It's also knowing when to restock. Like a lot of the time within the actual game itself, with perks that exist, as soon as you down somebody, sometimes it's smarter to go and get more hatchets before you pick them back up. It's being aware of that kind of thing. Just because if a save does come in, then you can have the opportunity to immediately capitalize once again on downing the player. We've got 2 people working a gen here. Probably about 22 seconds left if that was halfway, and there's 2 people on it.
And that is going to be the last gen that they need to complete to get the doors powered on. You can definitely see Killing side. Excuse me, Canadian Hookers will need to get out with at least 2 to claim the victory. If they were to get out with 1, we'll be tying it up going into an overtime situation. Right now, Shenanigans needs to get at least 3 members taken with the entity off to Valhalla. Voorhees is going to be doing just that. 1 point on the board, but right now they're looking at opening the doors. It might be a little too late. I'm not sure they have enough time to get enough points on the board to send us to overtime.
I think that was the plan. I think it was to just let Voorhees die, get as much progress on the final generator as the door as you can in order to basically set yourself up for a 3-person escape, which it looks like they're about to do.
4 and 5 out the door right there. No wasting time needed. They said we have the victory in our sights. Let's just get it done. Just for a little bit extra. It's not going to sway the outcome of the victory, but 0.6 will go out the door as well. Canadian Hookers is going to be taking the first matchup between themselves and Sashi Shenanigans. Good